Yeah, yeah. You can sit wherever. Yeah, I don't care. As long as you sit.
We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to love. We return again to love. We return, we return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to truth. We return again to truth. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Ameinu We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return. return again to you.
Yasher koach. Beautiful. Shabbat shalom, everybody. It is so good to see all of you. And as we just sang return again, we have these sprinkles throughout the service of the high holiday themes as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur coming up in just a few weeks. So these weeks leading up to the high holidays are an opportunity for us to prepare spiritually and to start some serious reflection as we think about, what went wrong in the last year? What could we have done better? But also celebrate the blessings and what went well. So thank you for that beautiful start, Joyce, Rebecca, and Scott. That was so uplifting. And now we are going to sing together Hine Matov as we celebrate the blessing of being together as community on page 3.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
We turn to page 10 for our candle lighting. And in that spirit of returning, I would love to invite up anyone who has been on a trip recently, who is returning here to be with us this Shabbat, or anyone who hasn't been here in a while that we've been missing. And we're so delighted that you have returned and you're here. And one last invitation for anyone who this is your first time. And in a sense, that is a return as you are coming to our community tonight for your first time. So I don't see anyone walking up. I'm hoping you're thinking about it because we want to get a couple people up here to light the candles. So please jump in and it'll be a wonderful way to start your Shabbat. Thank you so much. Come on up. Thank you so much. In the beginning, emptiness and chaos, a great darkness over the deep. The Spirit of God moved over the waters. Explosion of light, the long chain of emerging life. Behold, it was very good. These candles evoke the very first light. Out of the darkness came reason, purpose, consciousness of beauty, the power to discern and to do what is right. Let us hold the light in our hearts. Let us bring it with us into the darkest corners of creation where there is pain and fear. Let us offer the light of love. Whoever would like to. Sing the blessing together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Thank you all for being here tonight and adding your light to our community. And now we turn to our Kiddush. As we prepare to lift up our Kiddush cup, we turn to page 12, Sanctifying Shabbat. I invite you to please rise in body or spirit. And I'd like to invite up Isaac Mangold, if you would like to hold up the Kiddush cup.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshcha be'ahava uvratzon hinkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Please be seated as we turn now to Lecha Dodi on page 22.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat lekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dirbur echad Yishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem tiferet v'litila Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat lekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neilcha ki hi makor ha'bracha ve'rosh mikedem nehesuha sof ma'aseh v'machshavat tehillah. Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat lekabela. V'oi v'shalom ateret ba'ala Gam b'simcha u'tzola Tokemunei am segula V'oi kala Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat lekabela.
We turn now to the Hatzi Kaddish on page 24. Please remain standing.
Yitkadav yitkadash shemei Rabba ve'almad yifrach yirteh ve'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon uvyomechon uvch וחיי דחו בית ישראל, בעגלה, בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרמן ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה, טוב שפחתה ונחמתה, דמין רם בעלמא, ויאמרו amen.
As we turn now to the Baruch Hu, our call to worship on page 26, we think about what does that mean to have a call to worship? Who's calling on us? And our tradition teaches that God is calling on each of us. The Kabbalists actually believe that every single soul is here on earth to perform a certain task, and that throughout our lives, we have to answer that call. We have the opportunity to every day of our lives. And so especially in these weeks leading up to the high holidays, we try our best to hear that call. What are each of us called to do? How are we called to act? And how are we called to make this world a better place? We pray together now.
Yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, ba ha 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 ha. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai nai.
Page 29. Together, holy is twilight, the realm of in-between. And so our sages taught, pray in the moments when light and darkness touch. We are all twilight people, beyond categories and labels. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, widen our vision. Let it illumine our way to the God who transcends all boundaries and definitions. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We turn now to the holy words of Shema Yisrael on page 32, and we'll sing together first, Open Up Your Eyes.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. On page 35, you shall love the ones who are close with all your hearts, with all your spirit, with all your strength. Together, remember these words, inscribe them on your heart. Love them when they struggle, when they sadden and disappoint you. Love them when they fail. See the good within them, even when they can't. Look at them and listen, even when it's hard. Be grateful for their guidance, even their reproof, when they save you from yourself. Love them when they give you joy, and love them when they don't. When you lie down, let go of anger. When you rise up at dawn, begin again. Praise them for their deeds at home. Speak to them in public with respect. Bind yourself to the ones you love with promises kept and vows fulfilled. Open to them the gates of your heart, the doorway of your soul, and let them know you. So shall the ones you cherish feel your love, your presence, and your care. And we turn now to Mi Chamocha as we celebrate freedom on page 40, and as we also think about all of the ways that we can create a more free world for all individuals. Page 43. Only in you my soul finds quiet. My rescue comes from you. You, my rock, still point of the turning world. I hold fast and will not fall. And now we sing together as we delight in Shabbat. We sing V'Shamru on page 46.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם.
Please rise now in body or spirit as we turn to page 48 for our tefillah, the heart of our prayer.
Sifai tivta ufiya tekilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'kanei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ava, Melech Gozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayel HaKol Atah Rav Le'Oshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berakamin Rabim, Sohomek Noflim Verofei Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Ahafar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua. Emanata lehayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh ha'akol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukadoshim b'hol yom yahalu hasela. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Our Ritzay prayer reminds us that God is near to all who call. And so when we are feeling lost or sad or confused, and maybe we feel alone, we know that we can always turn to God and that divine spirit and presence is always with us, waiting to respond and waiting to help us to feel comfort and peace. We sing now the words of Ritzay on page 62.
Ritzay Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava Tamid avodat Israel Israel Amecha
What a gift. Thank you. We are now so excited to bring around the microphone so that people can share what they are feeling grateful for and uplift our community. So it doesn't matter if it's something little or something big, really all gratitude is big. So we're going to pass the mic around now.
I am feeling grateful that my and father will be 89 on Monday.
Happy birthday to your grandfather, Mazel Tov, Gideon. Who else would like to share? Did I see a hand over here?
I have two teenage granddaughters, almost 15 and 17, and we're going to have what we call an overnight, which we haven't for a long time, and I'm pretty excited that the girls still want to spend time with Grandma.
Thank you. Who Who else is feeling some gratitude? I can't quite see your hands. Maybe raise them a little higher. I know we had Mickey wanted to share a beautiful story.
I'd like to set the scene. I was in my office with a friend of mine trying to get my printer to work. To no avail, we could even start it. Then all of a sudden, there was a brrrp. A piece of paper came shooting out of the printer, and these were the words that I found on that piece of paper. We had a good life. Debbie was talking to me.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share words of gratitude?
I really like my mommy.
I really like you too, Isaac. Thank you. Well, we are certainly grateful for this strong community and to all be together on Shabbat. And with the gratitude in our hearts, we're going to sing Shalom Rav as we pray for peace.
Shalom, Shalom Rav al Israel, Amcha ta'asim le'olam. Shalom, Shalom Rav al Israel, Amcha ta'asim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon, l'cho ha'shalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, l'cho ha'shalom. Shalom, Shalom Rav al Israel, Amcha ta'asim le'olam. Shalom, Shalom Rav al Israel, Amcha ta'asim le'olam. V'tov be'enecha levarek et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom, Shalom Rav al Israel, Amcha ta'asim le'olam. Shalom, Shalom Rav al Israel, Amcha ta'asim le'olam.
We take time now to pray for all of those dear loved ones who are in need of healing. We pray for Leah Brady, Sorrel Carter, Ruth Cohen, Alan Davis, Rachel Dorison, Rick Edmonds, Jamie Jocelyn, Marjorie Mitchell, Joel Newberg, Jessica Pierce, Michael Ben Yankel Vepisha, Svi Dov Ben Binyamin Veshendel, Lisa Starks, Nina Villalobos, Julie Weaver. We pray for Janice Anderson Graham, Madeline Arabia, Bruce Badner, Claire Elizabeth Brady, Patty Bregman, Michael Buckholtz, Mariah Sklar Cardoso. We pray for Rusty Cluck, Murray Cohen, Alyssa Freeman, Robert Friedman, Alex Churchek, Jordana Fuller, Robert Gilner, Terry Gilner, Stephen Goldstein, Julie Mendel Hoffman, Stephen Kerr. We pray for Goran Kitchik, Bruce Kramer, Nancy Lambert, Israel Ben Leib, Mark Lyman, Robert Lufkin, Angela Merceret, Robert Joseph Pratt, Betty Schroeder, Ron Seidel, Lori Sarah, Stan Silverberg. We pray for Eva Simons, Deanza Smith, Trish Speakman, Liviana Soltzer, Lida Tate, Eugenia Wands, Nancy Scherweiss, Matthew Sternberg-Yee, and Harvey Zanger. If you are praying for someone in need of healing, please hold them in your heart now or whisper their name aloud as we turn to the Misha Berach prayer on page 76. Excuse me.
Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Yevarek Yirapeh et HaKolim Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Yevarech v'Yirapeh et HaKolim Elna Refana la Elna Refana la Elna Refana la Elna Refana la Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Yevarek v'Yirapeh et HaKolim uYevarek v'Yirapeh et HaKolim.
Please take a moment now for a silent, private prayer, and then we will return with Oseh Shalom, a prayer for peace on page 74.
Oseh Shalom bimromav Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'yakol Yoshvei Tevel ve'himru Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Ve'akol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'yemru,
So, as part of our preparation for the high holidays, we have our Elul speaker series where we have some very special people from our own community who are going to share some of their own stories that will uplift us and help us to have a more meaningful high holiday experience. And so tonight, you are in for a real treat because we have our beloved president here, Mike Shapiro, who is going to talk about sounding the shofar and what that experience has meant to him. So, Mike, we're so blessed that you're here. Thank you so much.
Shabbat Shalom. So several months ago, I was having a conversation with Rabbi Mangold. Now, whenever I start like this, or if I include that line later on, she immediately gets really nervous because she has no idea. Yeah, see? So anyway, several months ago, I was having a conversation with Rabbi Mangold, and we were talking about the challenges of getting ready for the high holidays, and as a rabbi, what she has to do to prepare, getting all the honors together, preparing sermons, and she said it's a real challenge, especially during that month of Elul, that month prior to Rosh Hashanah. And I said, well, why don't you just ask people to help? And she looked at me and she said, which Friday do you want? So here I am. I wasn't expecting that, but here I am. I was thinking about it this week. I actually started sounding shofar here at Temple Beth-El over 25 years ago. Yeah, that's will give you a little bit of pause. But my first memory of hearing the shofar, I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And I was in Sunday school in Massachusetts. And the man who sounded shofar in my temple, the Baal Tekiah, would wander from classroom to classroom sounding the shofar. So the first time I heard it, it sounded something like this. And I remember not being overly impressed with that sound. You got it. That's it, Isaac. And this happened each year in Sunday school when I was 7, 8, 9, and 10. And try this one. You know, the man would come in and they would say, it's high holidays, we want you to hear the shofar, and I remember like covering my ears because it was either sound like a wounded duck, it just was not very pleasant to me. But then I was probably maybe 15 or 16 years old, sitting in the main sanctuary, and the man who sounded the shofar came out with one that looked more like this. It wasn't quite like this, but it certainly wasn't like this. And in my temple, there was a wall like we have here, but there was a secret pathway behind the wall that led to the rabbi's study. And when it came time for the shofar service, the Baal Tekiah, the man who sounded shofar, would appear from this wall. And when I saw him come out with a shofar like this, I kind of leaned forward. And then they made the first call, Tekiah. And I was intrigued. And then I was like, this is not that same, duck call that I heard all those other years. And then he would continue with the calls. And I got real interested at that point. So fast forward 25 years later, I'm a member at that point here at Temple Beth-El. And I saw a little notice in our monthly scroll that Rabbi Moak had put in. Rabbi Moak was looking for someone to sound shofar for the children's service. And suddenly I remembered thinking about that sound I heard when I was 15 or 16. And I said, you know what, I think I'm kind of interested in doing that. So I called Rabbi Moak. Now, before I tell you what happened, I just want to share a little history of the Baal Tekiah here at Temple Beth-El. So like I said, I've been doing this for, it's over 25 years, but before me was Ira Mitlin. But before Ira was a man named Maury Rothman. And some of you here can remember Maury. I wasn't a member here when he was sounding shofar, so I never got to hear him. However, people tell me that it was the most amazing shofar they ever heard, that he was able to get this tone and this emotion through his shofar that was unlike anything they ever heard. They tell me that he was like the OG. You know, he was like the Michael Jordan of shofar sounders. The man was that good. And he did it with a shofar that wasn't much bigger than this. And he was able to take a shofar like this and apparently get the most incredible sound. Now, I had the good fortune many years ago of using his shofar, but I couldn't get anywhere near the sound that he was able to get. Some folks who traveled with Maury to Israel told me a story that they were in Jerusalem in the market. And there was a vendor or a stall where there was a person who sold shofarot. So there's lots of different shofars on display. And Maury walked by, saw it, and they stopped. And he took out one of the shofars. Now, if you've been to any kind of market where they have lots of shofars, what typically happens is that anybody who ever wondered if they could do it tries it. And everyone, you know, you get all these shofar sounders from temples all across the world who show up in Jerusalem. Now I can do this. So it's nonstop, people trying to sound the shofar. I know I resisted the urge because it's pretty annoying to hear all these people try to sound the shofar, when especially when it sounds like some of these. Anyway, they told me that when Maury sounded the shofar in Jerusalem, everything stopped. It was almost like if you've ever been to the Trop when they play the national anthem. Even the vendors in the promenade area stop. Everyone just stops what they're doing, and they listened. And they told me it was the most amazing experience. This man just walked in there, picked up a shofar, and was able to command everyone's attention. They said it was a real spiritual moment. So that was Maury Rothman. Maury sounded shofar here for decades. Sometime in the early 90s, he decided he was no longer going to do that, and he passed the baton, or passed the shofar, to Ira Mitlin. And Ira is the person who taught me to sound shofar. And for those who don't know Ira was, Ira was maybe almost as wide as he was tall, with white hair. And when Ira would sound shofar, what I remember about him is that he would get to the end, to that tekiah gedola, that long note where you hold it as long as you possibly can, and Ira's face would turn redder and redder and redder and redder, and you would sit there and you think Ira, like his head was going to explode, right? And you'd get a little nervous. But then he would end, the color would return to his face, and life would go on. So anyway, back to my story where I saw this posting in the scroll. They were looking for someone to sound shofar for the children's service. So I called Rabbi Moak, and we talked about it, and the next thing I know, I found myself at Ira's house with 3 other people. And I was pretty much the only one that could get any kind of consistent sound, although mine were not very good at all. But I got the job. And what the job was, before that, Ira would go earlier in the morning. He would sound shofar at the children's service, then run up here, do the main service, and it got to be too much. He didn't want to do that anymore. What he wanted to do was simply sound shofar here in the sanctuary. So I said, no problem. So Ira taught me the calls. And there is a formula to the calls. The first one is tekiah, which is one short blast. The next one is Shavarim, which is 3 blasts. Then there's Teruah, which is 9 staccato blasts. And then you have the final one, which is the Tekiah Gedola. So Ira would teach me these sounds, and it was almost like Mr. Miyagi and Daniel teaching me how to sound the shofar. So I learned these things, and I took one of his shofar, and I went home, and for weeks and weeks I would practice and trying to get it right. And it's not easy. A shofar is not an instrument. It's actually, it's bone. The small ones are ram's horn. The larger ones come from antelope. And all it is, it's bone that's been hollowed out. And there's no mouthpiece, and it's very individual. What I told you how well Maury Rothman could sound his, and I couldn't. It's individual. It's how the mouthpiece works for you, and how your mouth fits over the mouthpiece, and if you can get it just right. So I was using one of Ira's shofars, and I just wasn't feeling it. I couldn't get anything consistent. I went to the Sisterhood gift shop at the time. I took one from them, and I got a great sound if I held it just right, and if I blew just right. Unfortunately, I didn't always hold it just right, and I didn't blow it just right. But I tried. So I got reasonably good at it, and with Ira's help. And then 2 days before Rosh Hashanah, as I was getting ready for the children's service, Ira said to me, I want you to join me in the main sanctuary as well. And I was like, you're kidding. He said, no, all I want you to do is follow me. So that first year, I echoed him. So Ira would do his tekiah, and then I would do my tekiah. Then he would do his, and I would do mine. And after the service was over, Ira came up to me and he said, I quit. Ira was passing the torch. So that was it. It was mine. And the following year, it was just me. It was by myself. That also was when I began my search for the right shofar. The one I had, I told you, it was a hit or miss thing, and sounding shofar is hard. And I understand that for a lot of people, they come to Rosh Hashanah because they want to hear the shofar. And I felt this tremendous responsibility of not wanting to disappoint or let them down. I didn't want to get up here and get to the Tekiah Gedola and have it go flat. Or I didn't want to have it sound like some of these things sounded. So Sue and I would go different places, and if we were in Chicago or New York or Philadelphia, any place I could find a Judaica store, I would go in there and start going through the bins and sounding shofar after shofar after shofar until I found one that worked. And I ended up probably having 4 or 5 of them at the house. Some worked great initially, and then they lost their magic. Some I could do the tekiah, but I couldn't do the teruah consistently. Some could do the teruah, but I couldn't do the shavarim. And I finally found one years ago that worked for me. With all these shofarot hanging around my house, my son Matt started fooling around with them, and he got pretty good at it. So at some point, Matt and some of his friends joined me on the bima. And for many years, we had a large number of boys and girls join me on the bima during the Rosh Hashanah service, which is really a lot of fun. And the congregation really liked it because they liked to see the mix of generations. And what was really nice about it was that we had 3 or 4 folks up there who really could sound shofar, which took the pressure off. Because if you had 3 or 4 people doing it, if somebody missed one of the notes, you had 3 other people who there's a good chance they were going to hit it. And suddenly something that was, you feel a tremendous responsibility, you don't want to make a mistake, you had a lot of help. So one of the people that used to sound shofar was Aaron Torp, Rabbi Torp's son. And Aaron was great. And we had Aaron, we had Dean, we had myself, and different people. Hannah would show up, and I think Nigel was up there too, right? And over the years, some folks would come and go, and it was a nice experience when that happened. I remember the very first year when I was doing it by myself, it was Rabbi Torp's first year, and I was sitting right over here. And again, it was before the service, and I was feeling a lot of anxiety because I was doing it by myself, and I didn't want to blow it. And Rabbi Torp came walking by me. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, Mike, he said, don't worry, you're just heralding the arrival of a messianic age. No big deal. Yeah. There were some memories of sounding shofar are really special to me. One of them was during high holidays. One year, there were we had a lot of visitors who were deaf, and I think it was a time when Dean and Matt and Aaron were up here on the bima with me, and when it came time to sound the shofar, I walked down, and these folks were sitting right here, and I sounded shofar, and what they were able to do was put their hand on the shofar and feel the vibration. And that was pretty powerful. And another one was several years ago. I got a call from a congregant. Her mom was in Menorah during this time, and Menorah Manor, and just asked if I would come over and sound shofar. And I was honored to go there. And when I got there, not only was she there with her mom, but there were several other folks at Menorah who also wanted to hear the shofar. And it was one of the most pure Jewish experiences I've ever had. There was nobody was showing off. Nobody was, trying to outdo anyone. It was simply going over there and helping folks observe the holiday and hear the shofar. It was pretty powerful. When we would have 4 people up here or 5 people, Rabbi Torp made it really clear to us that he didn't want to see any acts of hubris, I think was the word he used. We could get competitive. And during the main service, he asked us if we would just try to do it together and not outdo the other, especially when it came time to the Tekiah Gedolah. So what we would do, we had a signal. We would do the Tekiah Gedolah, and once we got to a certain point, if somebody was running out of gas, there was a nod or a wink or a look, and we knew that maybe we'd raise the shofar up a little bit, and we knew time to end it, and we would end together. But when it came to Nila, which is the end of the Yom Kippur service, that's when all bets are off. If you've not been to a Nila service, which is at the end of Yom Kippur, the whole service kind of builds to this crescendo. The arks typically open, and there's these prayers you say at the end, and there's one you say once, and then one you say 3 times, another one you do 7 times, and then over the years, either Rabbi Moak or Rabbi Torp would either give us a look, or he would say Tekiah, and we would all sound, and this was competition. At that point, we didn't care whether there were acts of hubris or not. That was simply who can do the best Tekiah Gedolah. We built this crescendo where everyone was hungry, they want to eat, they want to go home, but we're going to do this one right. So that was always a fun time. And you got bragging rights for the year if you were the person who was able to sound the longest at Nila. One last story. So 2 years ago, Rabbi Mangold's first high holidays here, Nila service. We get to the end. We're actually out in the courtyard in the breezeway that year. We build to the big crescendo. We get to the point where we do 1 Shema, and we do 3, whatever came next. I can't even remember now, the Baruch Shem Kavods. And then we do the 7 lines. And again, Rabbi Moak or Rabbi Torp would either say Tekiah, or they would just give a nod, and then it was time for Tekiah Gedolah. So I'm there in the breezeway with Aaron, and Rabbi Mangold, we get to the point, we do the 1, the 3, the 7, and Rabbi says Tekiah, and I hit the Tekiah. And I noticed to my right that after about 4 seconds, Aaron stopped. And I'm like, well, it is Nila, so I'm going to continue. And the stars must have aligned because I came up with the best Tekiah Gedolah I ever did. It went and went and went and went, and I wasn't I wasn't even trying, but the thing just kept, it was just flowing out the end, right? The tone was great, it resonated, and when I got all done, people clapped, okay? No one ever claps in Nila, but the people clapped, and I'm smiling and I'm feeling good, and all of a sudden I hear Shivarim, right? I was done, and I walked over, I go, Rabbi, what are you doing? And she shows me the prayer book, and sure enough, at the end of the prayer book, there's 4 calls. Tekiah, Shivarim, Teruah, Tekiah Gadola. You were just following the book. All these years, I think we just wanted to go home and eat. But that was fun. So those are some of my tales of sounding shofar. Thank you for listening, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yasher Koach. Can I ask you one follow-up question?
Yes, you may.
Well, I'm sure that after hearing you speak, there are a lot of people here tonight who are interested in becoming shofar sounders at our temple. So what would your advice be to someone here who wants to get started?
Ask me. Yes. Just ask. If you've played an instrument before, woodwind instrument, maybe trumpet, or it might be a little bit easier. The thing you got to remember, there's no mouthpiece, and it's not an instrument. So it's something that you don't really play it, you sound it, and you kind of hope for the best. But if you are interested, absolutely let me know. I'll be glad to try to teach you, okay? Shabbat Shalom.
Well, another inspiring story. Last week we heard from a Jammin' Jew, and now a shofar sounder, so we're really getting excited for the holidays and learning about some of the ways that we can get involved and share that spirit and joy, and it's never too late to take up something new. So if you're interested, take him up on that, because he can teach you, and then we'll have someone else up here on the beam. So now we are going to turn to Aleinu on page 78. Please rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula leotzer breshit, shalosh anu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot hadama, shalosh amchalkenu kahem, vegor aleinu keho hamonam. Anaknu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech kol haaretz bayom hahu. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad.
Yasher Koach. Please turn now to page 86. We take time now to remember all of those dear loved ones who have died, and we hold them in our hearts, remembering all of the joy and all of the spirit that they added to this world that still remains a part of us today. We remember those who have died in recent days: Paul Lysacker, Deborah Highwell. We remember those yahrzeits that we are observing today and this week: Renee Applebaum, Victoria Bartholomew, Jack Brevda, Arthur Collins, Renette Israel Cornsweat, Jerry DeGennaro, Helen Dubois, Harold Englander, Charles Fortunoff, Marvin Fortunoff, Anton Friedman, Jenny Gladstone, Betty Gleiser, Lloyd Gottsman, Henry Louis Halperin, Isaac Holtzman, Diane Horowitz, Oscar Israel, Caroline Kitchler, Saul Lane, Judd Lassner, Bluma Liederman, Chyla Levine, Edward Levy, Howard Lichterman, Louis Lobovitz, Ida Frankel Loengard, Joseph Marco, Jeffrey Mossoff, Louis Moyer, Joe Perez, Yelena Ravinovich, Faye Robbins, Milton Rosenberg, David Schleifer, Mabel Silver, Max Stern, Milton Ullman, Gladys Weitz, Ruth Wolf. If you are remembering a loved one who has died and you'd like to share their name aloud or in your heart, please feel comfortable doing so. Holding all of those loved ones in our hearts, we turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, page 86. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma tivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'elam yin kol birchata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechemata da miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. May their memories always be for a blessing. Please be seated.
Who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
To conclude our service with the singing of Achad Sha'alti, which is a psalm that we sing or say every day during Elul, approaching the high holidays.
Achad Sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Achad sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Shivti עושה שמיים